Radio Raheem at the O2 Arena with Eddie Hearn. Another night where people thought, hey, maybe you've put on a mismatch here. Maybe this thing isn't going to be as competitive as it ultimately was. We've had that discussion about Luke Campbell performing better than people thought. But technically, I noticed his strategy was body shots. He lasted longer than people expected, had more success. Even though Lomachenko certainly won the fight, no question. Do we see any cracks in the armor tonight?
Maybe. I mean, he hurt Lomachenko a couple of times to the body, in my opinion. But then Lomachenko came back and rallied twice as hard as he did previously. So I think, I don't know how you beat Lomachenko. Like, technically, I don't think Lomachenko is going to fight many better fighters at lightweight than Campbell. Could he face some bigger punchers than Campbell? Yeah, but Campbell hits pretty hard. But, you know, there are some bigger punchers out there at lightweight. But it's just the things that he does, you know, the feet, the distance, the shot selection. I just don't know who's going to beat him. But one of my hopes tonight was that maybe time will crack Lomachenko. You know, he had 397 amateur fights, 14 pro fights, but tough, like proper elite level fights. At what stage does that shoulder keep playing up or the knee goes a little bit? And you need that bit of luck to beat him.
Lomachenko in his prime is much like the way people were considering Mayweather in his prime. And that you get beaten by him and it goes on your record, but not really against your brand, if you will. Has Luke Campbell raised his brand tonight?
Without doubt, because with all due respect to Luke, his brand going into this fight, this fight was about Lomachenko. You know, yes, he was fighting a Brit, but let's be honest, you know, Lomachenko was the sell here. Now that's changed, and Lomachenko's still the sell, but Luke Campbell has a huge profile now. People are very proud of him. You know, the Brits love it when you're getting hit to the body and you're almost crippled over and you just stay on your feet and you go down and you get up and you fight back. All fans love that. And that's what they saw from Luke Campbell. So his stock rate rises considerably. We've got to now sort of gear him up for a shot at a belt that fragments at some point next year. Devin Haney's in a similar boat, you know, and Lomachenko's going to be unbeatable. You know, he's going to fight the winner of Commey against Lopez. He's going to win that fight, and then he's going to be undisputed. And then I think he'll move back down because he's not a lightweight, you know.
Does he move back down and Devin Haney lose his shot at Lomachenko next year, becoming a mandatory?
Put the pressure on. You know, what we've got to do is we've got to make sure that Devin Haney is a big enough name for that fight to make sense for Lomachenko. You know, but Devin's not going to be at 135 forever. He's 20 years old. And he's got a really tough fight in 2 weeks against Abdulayev. I mean, it's not going to be an easy fight. But we'll see how he gets on in that. And he's going to call Lomachenko's name. You know, he's going to be mandatory for Lomachenko if he beats him. So you've got to call the name. You've got to push for that fight. And then after he's won the Undisputed Championship, we'll see if he takes it.
Bob Arum's already said no way to Devin Haney. Yeah. So he's an experience. He has got to earn the shot. There's no way he gets that fight. Yeah. If Lomachenko stays at 35, how do you turn that time? I mean, he'll be mandatory, so what do you do?
Eventually, he's got no choice but to vacate. But, you know, we'll see. Look, Devin's got a win in a couple of weeks, and then we'll go from there.
On the undercard tonight, obviously we saw Charlie Edwards get hit after he was on one knee. I saw instant replay from WBC for the first time in action. Yeah. Did you like the way the replay worked tonight?
So there wasn't an official replay. I mean, the WBC have an instant replay system, but not every commission adopts it. And the British Boxing Board of Control is one commission that doesn't adopt it. But the WBC rules state that they have the opportunity, they have the ability to rule a no contest on a bout. And what I loved about Maurizio's decision was many people would have said, look, we're going to look at this backstage or in the office and make a decision. What Maurizio said, I don't need to look at the office. That is the most blatant low blow I've seen. It is a no contest. So I actually quite liked it. You know, it was a bit, someone tweeted me and said that Maurizio went full Vince McMahon. But he's very passionate. Don't forget, Maurizio ruled against his fellow Mexican, fighter. So it wasn't easy for him. But at the same time, he acted and he did what he believed was right, which was it was a disgusting low blow. I mean, he should have been disqualified, in my opinion. But as I've talking to guys, you can't sort of overturn a decision for a disqualification. It's a no contest. So all in all, I think Maurizio did the right thing.
He ordered a no contest, but he also ordered a mandatory rematch. Nobody I talked to tonight thinks that that ever happens. They think Edwards moves up, vacates that title, we don't ever see a rematch. Do you have plans to put that rematch on? Have you talked to Edwards about it?
Charlie struggled to make the weight. He is a consummate professional, but making 8 stone is not easy. And it's a tough fight against a very good fighter in Martinez. And we've got to speak to Charlie and see what he wants to do. Tough rematch, but he wants to defend his belt, you know, and there'll be a lot of controversy around that, a lot of talking points. And we'll see where his mind's at over the next couple of weeks.
You know, I was standing to the side while you and Michelle talked about KSI and Logan Paul. And I heard you say you have to have brains to know that fight is an important one for boxing, and to cover it and to put it on is something that can bring eyeballs to the sport. I seem to remember being the only one to cover that fight the first time out.
You had the vision. I didn't. I slagged it off. Right? I said no, and I didn't really want it to be a success. And then Manchester Arena called me and said, you know, this place is completely sold out. And then it did 1.3 million pay-per-view buys, and I'm like, what the fuck, you know? And you can't ignore it. But there's certain things that I'm changing if I do that fight. That, you know, we'll see.
You said you didn't want it to be a success. Why not?
No, because I didn't know anything about them. I thought it was a joke. I thought they can't fight. What I watched was they can fight, and they're in great shape. But this is a new audience to the sport of boxing. You know, I saw a couple of comments. I said Devin Haney, Billy Joe Saunders might go on the show. That is embarrassing. It's like, what, showcasing them to a sold-out arena and millions of people around the world and a completely new, young, vibrant audience. That's embarrassing, is it? You know, leave it to the promoters and the marketeers to have a vision of how to grow the sport. You don't have to watch it, but sometimes we have to do things. Like, I'll give you an example. SecondsOut, right? I'm sure your numbers for, you know, KSI, Logan Paul interviews were absolutely exactly. So what are we doing? You know, do you turn around and say, yes, but it's not a true championship fight? Well done. Very clever of you. But what are you going to do? Just ignore it, you know? But we've got to make it credible. And there'll be an announcement about that in due course.
Is one of the credible factors making it a pro fight? This is what I've heard.
We'll see. There'll be an announcement this week.
And lastly, we saw an announcement in the ring tonight about Parker facing Dereck Chisora, who was begging for the Joshua fight when Ruiz got it. He got a second-round knockout in his last time out. Should he beat Parker, who's a good boxer, and do it in entertaining fashion? Does that put him in line for a title shot?
It's a renaissance of Dereck Chisora. I mean, look at that show on October 26th. You know, Regis Progress against Josh Taylor. Main event, Chisora Parker, Burns v Selby, Akoli against Ngabu, and that's just the first 4 fights. So October 26th, O2 Arena, don't miss it.
That wasn't an answer to the question. Is Chisora in line?
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you beat Parker, he's built Spilker, had a great fight with Dillian White, why not?
What about Alexander Usyk, who is here tonight, fighting in Chicago just a few weeks away?
His fight will be announced tomorrow. He's ready. You know, he's ready to take over the heavyweight division. He'll be the mandatory to the Joshua Ruiz winner.
There you go. Radio Raheem with Eddie Hearn at O2 Arena. Another wonderful night. Great show.